Hi, good morning. This is Amy Rafeka, and I am here at Atlanta Wills and Trust Law Group. And today is episode 1 of a new series that we will be sharing with you every single Wednesday. And the series is called Wills on Wednesday. And so what we intend to do is we intend to share information about wills, about trusts, and about other aspects of estate planning every single Wednesday, and we would love to answer your questions. So today, of course, I'll start with a very common question that I get when I help with estate planning and when I help with wills and when I help with trusts. But I am asking for your questions as well. So if you have a question about estate planning, if you have a question about wills, no matter how simple you might feel it is, there's a really good chance that I've answered that question many, many times when I have sat across the table from a client, when I have sat in a very large group of individuals at a presentation. And so I would love to answer it for you through my new series, Wills on Wednesday. So, share your question with me. You can share in a comment. You can private message the Atlanta Wills and Trust Facebook page. You can email my team at team, at Rafeka Law, F as in Frank, ECALAW.com. It's in the description below the live video. And you can email us your question, and we will really try to work in your the response to your question in our next episode or in a future episode. So let's start our first episode of Wills on Wednesday. So the question that we're going to answer today is, what is a will? Just what is it? And the answer is pretty straightforward, but I am also going to share some other things about wills, just a little bit. So a will is a legal document. A last will and testament, it's sometimes referred to, so those are the same thing. If you hear, oh, I have a will, or I have a last will and testament, those are really the same thing. I've heard them referred to as a sweetheart will. They can also be referred to as a pour-over will. So a will is a will is a will, but what the will does might be just a little bit different, depending on what it looks like. So a will is a legal document. It does not have to be prepared by an attorney. There's no legal requirement in the state of Georgia. However, what the will does might lead you to want to seek some help from an attorney. And what the will does is, when you pass away, it goes into effect. So what that means is during your lifetime, you can change your will anytime you wish. But when you pass away, whatever your will is, when you pass away, is going to determine what happens. And the will contains what you want to have happen. And what you want to have happen to 3 main areas. And that is your things, what you want to have happen to your things when you pass away. What you want to have happen to your real property, your property. So your homes, your land, your real property. So what you want to have happen to that when you pass away, and your money. So those are the 3 main categories of choices that people make inside their will. And again, you can make and change these choices all along the way when you are living, but once you pass away, your will is what it is. And so when you're making the decision about your things, about your property, about your money, you usually decide between who is going to receive it and how much of it are they going to receive. So sometimes I talk to someone and they say, I would like this particular person to receive this thing 100% completely. Sometimes I'll talk to someone when they're talking about their things, and they'll want their family to split their things up equally or to choose from their things, and any of the things that their family does not want, they will donate to charity or they will sell and then have someone split the proceeds of the money. So these are common decisions that we make about the things in our will. We also make decisions about property in our will, real property, and who's going to get that property. So a lot of times we're talking about our home, where we live. So conversations that we have about whether or not we put something in a decision about the home in the will is someone married? If they're married, then we want our spouse to continue living in that home likely. A lot of times though, I have to have discussions about whether or not a parent wants their child to receive their home in their will if that child maybe can't afford to live in that home or does not want to live in that home, or the child lives far away. Does it make sense to give the home to that child then? So a lot of times we have discussions about whether it makes sense to sell the home and then give, again, the proceeds of the sale to someone else. And the last group of things that we talk about in a will is the money and who's going to receive the money. And a lot of times I have discussions with individuals about, divide the money up equally between my children. Well, I have young families making these decisions. Makes sense. We have to have discussions about who's going to take care of the money if their children aren't over the age of 18. We also have to have, if their children are over the age of 18 and they're dividing money between children, is what if the child predeceases or passes away before the parent? And it's not something that a lot of parents want to think about. But if that were to happen and their child was older and had children of their own, would you want their children to receive their share of the money? So we have to think these through, and we make decisions, and I always say we make first layer decisions, like the first choice, and then we want to make backup decisions about if that person cannot receive money, and there are a lot of reasons why someone should not receive money or cannot receive money, who's next? And then who's next after that? And we'll go down the line until my client says enough is enough, I don't want to think about this anymore. So that's really what a will does. A will just formalizes your choices in a legal document that gets ultimately filed with a court, and it's open record. It will be filed in public record. And it expresses your wishes as it relates to your things, your property, and your money. And a lot of people will ask me, well, really, I don't need a will. I'm not wealthy. And I've talked about this before on some of my past videos. Wills, trusts, powers of attorney, anything to do with estate planning has nothing to do, really, with the money, has nothing to do with wealth. As I said in the very beginning when I started talking about wills, a will is about your choices as it relates to your things, your property, and your money. A will just formalizes your desires, your wishes, and your choices. Even if we're talking $500 or talking $500,000, a will is about your choice. And so if you have strong feelings about where you want that $500 to go, or where you want that $500,000 to go, or where you want a particular piece of furniture to go, that is a choice that you want to make sure happens when you pass away. And that is what a will is about. A will is about making sure that your choice is heard. Because as I said in the beginning, the will goes into effect, it kicks in, and it is what it is when you pass away. And you're not going to be there to say what you want. And the common, and I know Steve, thank you for joining me, and you probably have heard this as well. A very common comment that I'll get is my family knows what I want to have happen to the $500 or the piece of furniture. And I always strongly encourage, if you know what you want and you've already said it out loud, it doesn't matter how many times you've said it out loud to your family, put it in writing. And that's what you would do with a will, is you put that choice in writing in a will. And so that's really what the 411 is about a will. And it's pretty straightforward. It's about your choice. It's about making sure your choice is heard, because you're not going to be there when the will really matters, to make sure that your choice is heard and that what you want to have happen to your things, to your property and your money actually in fact happens. So this is Amy Rafecka, and thank you for joining me on episode 1 of Wills on Wednesday. I really look forward to joining you next Wednesday as well for our second episode of Wills on Wednesday. And if you have a question about wills, about trusts, about powers of attorney, living wills, or anything to do with estate planning, let us know. Let us know through posting a comment. Let us know through private messaging with our Facebook group at Atlanta Wills and Trust Law Group, or email my team at team@RefeccaLaw, RefeCalaw.com, and we would love to incorporate your question into our next episode and into future episodes of Wills on Wednesday with Atlanta Wills and Trust Law Group. Thank you for joining me, and we hope you have a beautiful day.